My name's Amy Kane and I am the head of history at Woodhouse College. I've been teaching history for about 16 years and at Woodhouse for the last 3 years. I think the very best history students that we get at A-level are those that really do enjoy the subject, and that's got to be the number one consideration when choosing to study this at A-level. People who just really enjoy learning about stories about the past.
I think they need to be someone who's willing to put in the extra work. I'm Victor and I came to Woodhouse College from the Archer Academy 2 years ago. And obviously they need to have an interest for the subject, they need to know what they're getting themselves into.
Those that actually are quite happy to read and to think independently and want to kind of critically analyse why things happened in the way that they did.
They need to be ready to really consolidate knowledge.
Enjoyment number one, and that willingness to pursue the reading and the thinking number two.
I think it goes without saying that it's a lot harder.
So I think the big difference between GCSE and A-level history is the amount of independent reading that students would need to complete.
There's a real difference in just memorising, and then here you have to do wider reading, you have to really understand the content, you have to know how to construct arguments.
Obviously we spend an awful lot of time in lessons looking at key content and debating the key issues, the events, the personalities of the period, but actually to get a real in-depth understanding, students do need to go away and use the really extensive resources in the library.
I think the context is the most crucial thing in history. At GCSE you're not necessarily taught about the bigger picture. You're focusing on a certain time period and you don't really go much out of there. While here, say you're learning about the Cold War, which the course here starts in 1945, you still have to have knowledge about previous international relations like World War II. Definitely
the two skills that students will really need to develop is their independent reading and also their independent writing, and understanding that there's no one way to write an essay, but that there are a variety of answers, and as long as they are able to put a coherent argument together and find really select evidence that's going to support their point of view, then that is a valid essay. I think the students tend to be divided between those that prefer the Stuart course and those that prefer Cold War for the examined unit.
For me it's been the Cold War and Russia, the coursework unit. If
I took a kind of a straw poll of all students, they would say they really do enjoy the Russia coursework.
You get into Russia, it's really, really interesting also because you can make links with the Cold War and with the Stuarts.
And I think part of that is because it's such an interesting period of a history to study. It's so rich with stories and complexities, but they can specialise in what they actually are really interested in for themselves.
But I think they're all three, really amazing units because you can really understand how today works, how politics work today, how the government works today.
What we would try and do every single year is to take students to lecture conferences that take place in town, where they can hear 3 or 4 leading academics from universities speaking on particular issues that are important, that are relevant to their syllabus, which gives them a really nice perspective and interpretation of some of the key arguments that we can then bring back into the classroom.
We had a trip to the Imperial War Museum as well, which was very fun.
The history department also runs a very popular history academy,
which I attended quite frequently, and it was everything to do with off the syllabus work, which again reiterates my point about context and seeing the bigger picture, understanding and linking things.
And the department has run trips to Berlin every other year as well, as to kind of really enrich their understanding of the Cold War period.
Right now I'm applying to 5 different universities for the same subject. It's history and modern languages, so my first choice is Cambridge, which hopefully I'll get accepted to.
I think history is one of those subjects that doesn't train you for any particular job in the future. It's not a vocational subject in that respect, but what it does is it enables students to really develop their powers of critical analysis, to assimilate a large amount of information very quickly, and to distinguish between interpretations and to synthesize their own views on particular issues. So careers that it might therefore be really useful for are things like law, journalism, or anything in terms of management, business organisations, anything like that really.
I know this is a college that's quite well known throughout the country, and I was expecting high levels of teaching. I was expecting for me to learn something, on another level, and yes, that's definitely, my expectations definitely been met there.